Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Hello, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
I have a new microphone. I'm hoping it's good.
It sounds great, I think.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. For those of you who for the last couple of weeks have been like, what's up with the sound? I think it was my microphone. I think I narrowed that down, and I apologize. But here I am, having tried, I don't know what, 3 pieces of new tech since then. And I think
since then at least,
works.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, I know. It's stuff that I never really used to think about before. And now I feel like we're so immersed in technology that it's like all we do.
It really is, which is a wonderful segue to the topic that we're doing for this.
Thank you.
I applaud it.
Totally did not plan that.
I didn't even think the segue when I said, how's my microphone? But it works. Yeah. So we're running with it.
Let's go. Yeah.
Right? We're going to talk about kids' brains and tech and timing today, because we have a really big dilemma in early childhood right now.
For sure. Yeah.
That, I think was caused over the actions of about the last year and a half or so, but it's a dilemma. And so much so that I have had administrators ask me about what to do. And here's the question that was basically posed to me. It was, we have specials coming in via Zoom. For example, the music teacher is coming in via Zoom. The art teacher is coming in via Zoom. We have things in our curriculum that have been provided to us digitally, or in some cases, we have a digital curriculum where all the resources are digital. We have all sorts of things happening on screen. And the question to me was basically, what is the American Academy for Pediatrics saying, right? What is the American Academy of Pediatrics saying in this time, in this day, about what do we do with young children in tech? So I did a little digging for an administrator that I work with. Everything I found, which was published recently, said that the American Academy of Pediatrics is still recommending no screen time for children under the age of 2, and from 2 to 5 years old, no more than 1 hour per day, which, as I'm saying to administrators, we know the children get at home already.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're getting an hour or more in most cases, because remember, screens include not just your smartphone. It's like smartphone, computer, television, smartboard. Anything with a screen is considered screen time. You hand your child your smartphone for a few minutes, that ticks away at that less than an hour.
Right.
In the state in which Alison and I live, for private childcare, there are very strict limits about the amount of screen time that a child can have. And it's sort of like some of that may have been obliterated by the fact that, well, if you want me to have mystery readers, parents are coming in on screens.
Yeah.
And if you want parent partnership, that partnership has to take place on screens. And if you would like us to have the music teacher or whatever, that's on a screen, you see. And so it's been tough. I've worked with teachers who work with children under the age of 2, trying to figure out how to navigate the fact that people like the art teacher and the music teacher are on screens and they can't show the children the screens. And we have this just overall dilemma about what do we do in our early childhood classrooms and settings, public and private, right? Yeah. So you work, Alison, in a public school setting.
Yeah.
And what's that like with tech?
Well, every room has a smart board, and I feel like the children are constantly on the smart board, and teachers during evaluations, it's actually part of the evaluation, like how much tech did this teacher use during this lesson? And
to encourage
it, because I typically don't use a lot of that because the kids are small and there's no need for a lot of the lessons that I do, but it was marked on mine once, like needs to use technology more.
And how old were the children?
3.
Okay, there you go.
They're 3. But it's like they have I guess their attitude is like, this is the world that they're growing up in and the kids need to get used to technology and all that. I'm like, yeah, but they don't need to be staring at screens for a lesson that I could easily do without that screen.
We do
Is
have
my
standards
attitude.
having to do with technology. This,
Yeah.
in our state anyway, there are standards having to do with technology, and children do need to know how to navigate in early childhood years technology a little bit. They do need to know how to turn it on and off. They need to know what is the keyboard and what does it do?
How
What
to
is the
use
mouse and what does it
Yeah.
do? How does it use?
Yeah.
And
But the kids in public school, in my school at least, they get tech class once a week. So like,
even like 3-year-olds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get tech class. There's a tech teacher,
Wow.
so, and all the kids all the way up through grade 4 are going to that tech teacher at least once a week to learn that kind of stuff, and probably the older kids are doing even cooler things like coding and stuff. I have no idea. But then why does it need to be in my classroom, the kids sitting in front of the screen all the time if they're getting that part somewhere else?
I have to tell you that I feel really conflicted about this whole topic. In the beginning of time, when tech was newer to all of us, I had the attitude of, they do this at home. We're not doing this in our classrooms. We're not using screens with children in the classroom. And that's how I ran a program, but that's how many people ran a program back then. Then we started to get these standards that included technology, and we started to rethink, well, what do we do? What counts as technology was one of my questions back then. If I get some dollar store calculators in here and they can turn that off and on, and I show them keyboards that are not connected to a screen, does that count? And we started to decide, what does this mean, this mandate having to do with technology? And then I think as time went on and technology became an even more prevalent part of our lives, my thinking started to shift. And I realized these children are going to have to be able to use technology very early in the elementary school years.
Yeah.
They're using it at home and not always for good reasons. And in our settings, we can actually teach them good use of technology for doing things like research.
Yes.
Right. And I started to say to teachers, because by now I'm not a director anymore, I'm a consultant, and I start to say to teachers, use it for good with them. Teach the children that if we have a question that we can't answer through an experiment, we can look at technology for answers, and we can use technology for certain things and teach them good uses of it, was my message to people. And now I understand that if we want them to have some of these extra classes or these specials, and if we want them to be fully connected to their families who still cannot enter our programs like they used to.
Yeah.
I think that this is a huge dilemma, and I'm not sure I don't know if people tend to really sit and reflect on it as much as you and I have the gift to do during this episode. And I hope that our preschool peeps who are listening start to really think about. When I was asked this, and I discussed this with some people in the field, I basically decided that my advice was going to be this, and you can let me know what you think, Alison.
Okay.
My advice to teachers was going to be this. We know that the children get a lot of screen time at home for the most part, not every single family, but for the most part, children are getting even more screen time at home now than they did in the before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So keep your use, this is what I tell teachers now, keep your use of screens directly connected to your curriculum. For example, if your curriculum comes with ebooks, children listen to an ebook and watch an ebook in minutes. Use the ebook, but don't use it on the same day that you have 30 minutes of the music teacher on your smart board for everybody.
Yeah.
And don't use screens and technology as filling time. It's not filler.
Yeah.
We're not going to use it to put on fun dance music to create a transition. Start singing to them if you've been doing that. We're not going to use it for...
Just use the song. Like this is what's amazing to me. Okay. The children even the young ones are so used to staring at a screen in order to dance.
That's
that
true.
when you then take the screen away and just play the music on, like, say, let's go old school, the CD player. They do not know, right? They do not know how to dance. They actually will be like, wait, where's the dance moves that I usually follow? I'm like, no, just dance, just move. Like, it almost like crippled their dance creativity because they're so used to being like, I'll just do the moves that's on that screen, which is what they do at home. When the YouTube goes on and they're dancing, they do the moves.
That's true.
But at school, they get like, well, no, I want to see it too. And you're like, no, we're just going to dance. Whereas like you used to just dance.
or this, or TikTok, or the TikTok. They've had exposure to TikTok a lot. I don't use TikTok either, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
I'm aware of it. And I know that young kids get exposure to TikTok because they're doing the dances that are on TikTok.
Yes, there's dances on the TikTok. Yeah.
On the TikTok. We sound like when Facebook first came out, we're like on the Facebook.
I still call it the Facebook.
I still call it
the Facebook, the Twitter.
just because. But
I do that all the time.
So I keep it directly related to your curriculum. And I have to tell you that in my conversations with teachers, and this is across several different programs, private and public, by the way, it has reaped really interesting conversations. Teachers have asked me, well, if we are doing a unit having to do with water, and I want to show them XYZ having to do with music and water, are you saying that is or isn't directly related to my curriculum? And it's really coming down to these deep conversations about, well, when are you using that? How are you using it? How long is it on? Are you using it as a transition? Because don't use it as a transition. For transition, you sing and dance with them or something, but turn the screen off. And it's really something that we have to discuss. It isn't like I can just say to teachers, just use it connected to your curriculum and we all understand each other. It's a discussion so that we all understand each other.
Yeah.
And if you're working in an educational setting, I highly encourage you to bring this up at a staff meeting. What does it mean to everyone if we say we're going to use technology only as directly related to the curriculum? The American Academy of Pediatrics still has this recommendation for very good reasons, because we know that the screens and all of that it has to do with being on the screens impacts the brain, potentially vision. We know that there are pediatric reasons for doing this.
Yes.
Right? Pediatrician reasons. So knowing that and keeping that in mind, how does everybody define it if I say you're going to use it only connected to the curriculum? And I think you'd be surprised how people have different interpretations of that. So we need to be very clear what our policies are going to be now and going forward into the future. And if you are a family, just keep in mind that recommendation is really an important recommendation. And so they are using screens for things that they didn't always need screens for, maybe in your child's program. Find out if they are. And if they are, you also need to think about, my child had a half an hour of the music teacher today. What does that mean for my use of technology at home tonight?
Home. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You need to be aware of that schedule. You really, I think, and I just had this thought, I haven't told any staff this, but I should. I think teachers should be communicating to families in their outreach, in their daily app outreach, whatever app you're using, in your daily, in your emails, whatever, to say, today we spent this amount of time on screens in our program. Please keep that in mind at home. Thank you.
Oh, that's smart.
Oh my gosh, I just thought of it. I have to go back to those teachers now.
Yes.
Oh, so when I meet with them
add it to those daily sheets,
add it to your daily sheets, people. Yes. Oh my gosh. So now I have to go back to the programs I work with and
say,
even the ones who didn't ask me about this and say, hey, as you are sending messages to families, please let them know how much time you've spent on screens today so that they can monitor properly at home.
Right.
Okay. Well, that was exhausting, that brainstorm. I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah.
But I'm wiped out right now. That was a lot of thinking.
Yeah, that was a lot. Plus we're on
Wow.
technology, which makes you even more tired.
This is what it's like when I consult. This is what it's like, folks. If you're ever wondering what's a consulting meeting like with Cindy, this is what it's like. I go in with some things I want to share, some resources, some information. I always go in with questions about how it's going in case I can help. And then somebody will say something and I suddenly go, wait, I have a thought about that. And then I have to backtrack to about, I don't know, 50 other people with this idea. But
She's got to remember who she didn't tell.
well, now this is a fresh slate. So if you are if you are listening to us and you know that you speak to me all the time about your class and your students, you may hear this in an upcoming consulting
You're gonna
meeting.
hear it again. Yeah.
I'll find out who's listening now.
Yeah.
I think that if nothing else comes from this episode, letting families know how much time you're spending every day on screens and letting them know the AAP recommendation.
Well, also, I feel like when you as a teacher or an administrator are going to write down how much screen time you had on those sheets and those apps and those emails, it makes you more aware, be like, wait, we did that much screen time today. We need to cut this back. So it kind of keeps you a little bit of like, not accountable, but like makes
it is accountable.
Think.
I think
it makes you think a little bit like, wait, we did way too much today. We need to cut this down. Yeah. So that'll be helpful for the teachers too. Yeah.
Right. I think so. So I'm all right. I'm wiped out now. We have to draw it to a close. That was a lot of brain work right there that you
really
witnessed.
Was. See?
You should come to YouTube and watch my face, folks. Where I'm like, wait a minute.
You should.
You could actually see the light bulb go off over my head, maybe on YouTube.
Yeah, maybe. Ding.
Maybe.
Ding. There.
That's what it looks like in an adult.
Yeah.
All right. So to sum up, the recommendation is still less than an hour per day for children between the ages of 2 and 5. Nothing under the age of 2, no screen time. And so let's all be accountable to these kids a little bit and make sure of how we're using it and how we're working in partnership with families is where we're concluding here. How are we working in partnership with families if they don't know what's happening in our settings? And families, if your child's preschool is not telling you, if they use screens and they're not telling you how much time they're spending on it, go back and ask for it.
Ask them. Yeah.
Yeah, please go and ask them to report that. And on that note and that brainstorm, if anybody has any feedback or ideas or information or questions about how you are using technology with young children, please contact us at howpreschoolteachersdoit.com or send us a message through our Facebook page. And if it's okay for us to share your question or your statement or your ideas, you have to give us permission and tell us how you would like it, your name, where you are in the world, and whatever you would like us to say, but you have to explicitly say that we have permission.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. We will catch you next time on the podcast. Who knows what brainstorm will happen then?
Who knows? Bye, peeps.
Bye.